Hey new members, this is the Student Activities Board's New Organization Presentation, sponsored by SALD, which is the Student Activities and Leadership Development Office, as well as the University of Cincinnati. So I'm just going to go through a brief overview before we jump into things. First is about SAB. Second, we'll go through the post-New Org submission details as well as an associated infographic. Third, some how-to guides for new organizations that all new members should be aware of, as well as how new organizations will get into contact with SAB after they are approved on campus. So SAB's mission statement is the Student Activities Board works cooperatively with the Office of Student Activities and Leadership Development, as well as student government to promote student involvement on campus. So there are three main pillars that everyone should be aware of. First, promotion, second, registration, and third, regulation. This specific process falls under the registration pillar. So what is the new organization approval process? So this is basically a fundamental function of the Student Activities Board, and it happens semi-annually for prospective students to complete an application and go through the entire process for becoming an RSO. So all prospective students looking to create a unique student organization that fits a niche on campus must complete this process to be formally recognized as an RSO, which is a registered student organization. And this process or application is usually open for two phases. First, during the beginning of fall semester and the beginning of spring semester. So the fall semester's dates are essentially August 24th to October 5th. So that semester's end is coming up very soon. And for the spring semester, it takes place from January 11th to February 23rd, tentatively. It's obviously subject to change because of university policy and our current situation surrounding COVID-19. So what happens next after a student does submit their application? So we will review their application and they will be evaluated based on our criteria for completeness and compliance with UFB, SALD, our, and university policies. SAB will return a decision of either denied or approved, and if they are denied, it's very common for a student to get their application denied. This is just because we want to see something more deeper or something additional in terms of their application. This absolutely does not mean that they're unable to become an RSO for the year. So if their application is denied, an SAB consultant, so one of us, will attach comments to their submission, letting them know what changes we want to see. An important thing to note is that they don't need to start a new submission to make changes. This makes it easier for us and them to basically edit their application on Campus Link so that they can keep all of their current submission portions and just change the specific areas that we want them to change. So this is how to make edits on a denied application. Essentially, they just go to Campus Link, click on their initials after they sign in, select My Submissions, select 2020-2021 SAB New Org application, and essentially make changes to the application. And then once they resubmit, we can now see it again as SAB consultants, and we can review it once again. So now we're going to listen to Rishi basically kind of walk us through how to get to this edit aspect of the specific New Org application.
To access and edit your organization's re-registration if it has been denied. Go ahead and click on your initials or your photo up here, and then go to Submissions. If you go over to Organization Registrations, at the top of the list, you should see your organization, and you should be able to click on this View icon over here to access your organization's re-registration application. After you go ahead and make the necessary edits, you can go ahead and submit that once again, and then after that, it will be submitted to SAB for review once again.
So as Rishi mentioned, this was for the re-registration application submissions, but it's the same idea for the new organization application submissions. They'll be found in the same area, and you click the same eye icon in order to access their application and basically make the necessary changes, as he mentioned.
To access.
So if their application does get approved after this entire process, so what holds next for them? So, step one, they receive an email from their assigned SAB consultant, which is one of us, and point of contact. They will meet with their SAB consultant. For this semester, it'll most likely be virtually, and they'll discuss their constitution and bylaws, new org application, SAB pitch materials, which is basically the presentation that they present to us during our meetings, and anything additional. So then step three is they officially present to SAB members during our Thursday meetings, 6 to 8 p.m. They essentially tell their point of contact what time they want to come in, and we sign them up for our specific form in order to keep everything organized and keep all of our organizations pretty much limited to 15 minutes. And then after they are approved, after the meeting, then they will keep in touch with the SAB and ask any necessary questions or if they require any additional resources from us. And this is basically the infographic that sums up everything that I just mentioned. So first they must check Campus Link or visit us in order to see if a similar organization exists. They have to ensure that they meet all the criteria before registering their organization, which includes 10 members with M numbers, an advisor, and a constitution and bylaws, as well as a president and treasurer. Then they'll reach out to SAB if they have any questions or trouble while filling out the application. And then, of course, they'll fill out the new organization application found on Campus Link. Then they'll look out for an email from an SAB member indicating that they have either been approved for their application or denied and they need to make some changes. Once they're approved, of course, they meet with an SAB consultant and they basically organize all their information into a pitch and they present to the board. So once they are approved, organizations are kind of expected to maintain their Campus Link page and keep everything updated, including their roster, any relevant forms that they have, and documents that they have. So in order to do that, they first must go to Campus Link, log in, of course, search for their organization, click Manage Organization on the top right, click the three lines in the top left corner and hit Organizational Tools. Then they must navigate to the tab that they're interested in and use the blue button at the top right to carry out actions. And again, we'll listen to Rishi as he'll walk us through this.
How to manage your organization's Campus Link page. So the first step after you log in is to search for your organization. It may already pop up here, so feel free to go ahead and click on that here. Once you do so, it'll pull up your organization's Campus Link page, and up here in the top right, it has this button called Manage Organizations. So go ahead and click that. And then so this is your organization's Campus Link homepage. And if you click here, you can open up all the different tools that your organization has available to them. So for example, if you want to edit the roster, you can click here. If you want to edit or add any forms, you can click here. If you want to edit any documents that your organization has, you can click here. And if you want to edit pictures and things like that, you can click here.
And so as members of the Student Activities Board, we can basically manage the entire Campus Link page. So if we go to Campus Link and we hit the 3x3 icon here, we can basically hit the Manage button and manage any organization on campus. So if students come to us asking to change their roster, we can basically show them how to do it once, and then they'll be able to do it in the future. And these are the list of the RSO privileges that they get. So this is kind of the incentives that they have for becoming a registered student organization. So they can reserve space on campus for meetings and approved activities. They can host a Campus Link page in order to market to the students. They can conduct approved fundraising projects on campus. They can coordinate activities with other student organizations and participate in events such as Homecoming, Welcome Week, and organization fairs, which are very popular. They can use a mailing address at the University of Cincinnati. They can apply for funding through the University Funding Board if they're eligible. Participate in new student orientation as well as the fall and spring organization fairs, like I mentioned. They can nominate candidates from their organization to participate in the homecoming court. They can apply for university awards hosted by SAB, and as well as rent vehicles for organizational travel, which is funded by UFB, potentially. And now, an important thing to note for a lot of RSOs, and an important thing to know for us as well, is how RSOs schedule a room for meetings and events in 25 Live. So now we'll listen to Dena, one of the old members.
I'm going to be taking you step by step on how to reserve a room on 25 Live. To start, you can type in schedule.uc.edu in the search bar, and then it'll take you to this page. You'll go ahead and log in using your 6+2 and whatever UC password that you have. So we're going to go ahead and create an event. And it'll take you to this page. So this is basically the page where you can request any available rooms at UC. We're just going to go ahead and do ASA exec for the event name. Same thing for the title on the calendars, ASA exec. And then the event type. So here it shows you every single event that you could have with a UC student organization. For us, we will go ahead and just do a meeting. Sponsored organization, this is the organization that you are a part of, and you need one to reserve a room on 25 Live. Expected attendance, we will say 10, just because there's not that many of us. Event description is fairly simple, especially for this. I can just say ASA Weekly Executive Meeting. So the date and time, for us, we usually do Wednesday, so we'll just do April 1st. We do 5 to 7:30. And then this event begins and ends on the same day. We'll click that. If you unclick it, you would pick the following date and where the event would end. But usually we don't really have events that last more than one full day. So down here, you're going to see locations. So you can pick whatever building that is available. Usually people like to do TUC. So you can search TUC. And right here it shows you if it is available or not. It shows you the room number. It shows you the written out number and the capacity and all of the conflict details of why it's unavailable. So if you scroll down, you can see that they are unavailable. This is just due to the certain situation that we are in right now. But if they were available, it would just show right here, and then you would click add. And resources. This is super important if you are holding big events. This is a great opportunity for you to write how you would like the set up to be, what kind of equipment you'll need, speakers, mics, all of that. Attach files. This is just maybe if you want to add a flyer with the event, just so they don't have any questions at like the conference and event services. So day of event, contact name. I will write my own name. And then phone number, and then it says requester and schedule right over here. And so this is just a helpful hint for requirements, just so they know what kind of event this is. So this is nothing that really goes with our executive meeting, so I will just do nothing above. And then to finish off, you just hit I agree to all the policies, and you just hit save, and then it'll get put you to a new page, and then you will get your confirmation email through your UC email.
Awesome. So Dana gave us a great rundown on 25 Live.
I'm going to be taking.
So now how to access SALD's RSO handbook, which is honestly really important for us as well as them because it goes through all of the guidelines, all of their privileges, all of the regulations and violations kind of guidelines that we have to follow. But it includes a lot of great information. And SALD works very, very hard on it every year. So it's very awesome to check out.
This is a quick guide on how to access the Registered Student Organization Handbook provided by the Student Activities and Leadership Development Office. First step is to navigate to the website, which is located at uc.edu/SALD. Next, you can go here to Student Organizations and select Manage Your Organization. And linked here is the 2019-2020 Registered Student Organization Handbook. The RSO is published by the Student Activities and Leadership Development Office. It contains information about registered student organizations at the University of Cincinnati, organization requirements, resources that are available to your student organization, as well as policies and student organization conduct.
Awesome explanation, Rishi. Um, yeah, but the RSO handbook is extremely helpful for everyone, as Rishi had mentioned. It includes a lot of information that we should know, as well as RSO should know. So I would highly recommend that when you do work with new student organizations, and if they are approved, then you go ahead and redirect them to the RSO handbook if they do have any additional questions, or if they do want to see any resources that they can take advantage of. This is a great resource that's being put out on an annual basis that a lot of student organizations should definitely use. So these are the officer and advisor requirements for student organizations. So officers who are executive members of the organization, such as the president, treasurer, secretary, vice presidents, etc., must be a currently enrolled matriculating student, achieve and maintain a 2.3 GPA, and be in compliance with all other university policies and procedures as noted. At minimum, the organization must have a president, treasurer, and advisor. The advisor has to complete an online training before assuming their role, and they have to do that to also maintain their status as an advisor. They are required to be a faculty, staff, or administrative advisor. Graduate assistants may serve as student organization advisors if listed as the duty of their job description. They are required to be listed as an advisor on the campus and roster. This is how we regulate them. Um, and also, they must sign or approve any financial requests and any other pertinent documents that SAB or SALD requires them to do. Posting policy for organizations. A lot of student organizations do use posting on campus whenever campus is open again in order to recruit and market their organization. So they must include the name of the organization. They must advertise a specific event or an occurrence. And this is extremely important, but there may be no more than 5 posters, handbills, or flyers displayed by one student group or student in one area. Posters must be removed on day after the event. No tape or adhesive may be used. And postings are prohibited on glass surfaces, painted surfaces, utility poles, university buildings, walls, construction walls, materials, signage, trees, open space, paved surfaces, or earth surfaces. So it's a lot to regulate, but we are working towards being more of a regulatory body for these student organizations, and we've been doing a great job in the past few years. Chalking policy. So chalking is also another way that organizations basically market their organization by basically chalking on campus in order to basically promote a specific event, promote a number, um, promote their number, promote their organization essentially. So chalking on campus is limited to RSOs, university groups, or registered organizations, but they are only permitted on horizontal surfaces and open areas, and they have to be directly washed by rain. So if there is a specific building that blocks rain from washing off the chalk, then that's not permitted. So chalking must bear the name of the sponsoring organization, just like the um, flyer policy that we just mentioned. Messaging must be for a campus-wide event open to all students. Chalk must be water soluble again, and they're not permitted on street pavers, and you definitely cannot chalk offensive content. And this is something that's put out by the Student Wellness Center that I do see is very important for our organization members, especially new members, as well as any organization members who are extremely involved on campus. So it's about how to prevent leadership burnout. So just take a couple of seconds or take a minute to basically just kind of like look through it and appreciate it, because it was a great thing that was put out by the Student Wellness Center. And honestly, I think a lot of people do kind of neglect the fact that leadership burnout exists. And so this is a great article that's being put out by the Student Wellness Center. And there, of course, are some resources that students may use if they feel like they're experiencing burnout and they have some of the symptoms, or they're seeing some of the symptoms in themselves that are kind of like correlated with leadership burnout. So our annual events, the organization fairs, as I mentioned before, extremely popular fall and spring. It provides a lot of organizations with a lot of recruiting power for new students because a large portion of new students do come to these organization fairs to kind of find their own niche and find their group of people on campus. So it's a great way to meet people. It's a great way to market your organization. Celebration of student involvement. This is a really awesome event, which basically allows us to recognize organizations that are stellar on campus. So we have a set of awards that we give out. And of course, evening with the orgs basically allows us to basically have um, seminars that we can kind of inform RSOs and basically serve as another resource for RSOs to kind of expand and grow their organizations. So to give kind of like context, we had an evening with the org about kind of like money management in the past, and Midwest Amaka talked about their sponsorships, and a lot of big organizations kind of served as keynote speakers for these evening with the org events. So it was really awesome for a lot of RSOs to take advantage of this. And of course, these are all of our contact information. So our email, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram platforms that we always use in order to promote student organizations and kind of answer any questions and direct RSOs to any resources. So these are our main four platforms that we use. Of course, welcome new members, and thank you for listening. I know this is a lot of information, and you guys will become a lot more familiar with them as time goes on. But again, thanks again, and I hope you guys do enjoy the retreat.